Hi, I'm Will Schwab, and today I'm in Edmond, Oklahoma. I'm just a couple miles west of I-35, and I'm standing on historic Route 66, although here they call it 2nd Street. I'm just about a block or so from downtown. And the reason I'm here is the beautiful building behind me. That is the 1889 Territorial Schoolhouse. It's the very first schoolhouse built in what was then Oklahoma Territory. Now that's interesting, but there's something even more interesting. This building has been here for over 100 years, but for most of its existence, we didn't know it was here. It was disguised, it was hiding in plain sight. Well, inside we have some pictures, we have some folks that are going to tell us that story. I think you're really going to enjoy it, so let's head on inside.
With the Edmond Historic Preservation Trust.
So it's the very first schoolhouse in Oklahoma Territory, correct?
Correct, yes. Okay. And we have restored it, and the kids are using it today.
And how long did it operate as a schoolhouse?
It operated as a schoolhouse for 10 years, and at the end of 10 years, the city of Edmond had outgrown this schoolhouse. So they had to build another schoolhouse. They built a Howell, H-O-W-E-L-L schoolhouse. And this was sold as a residence.
So the city was done with it, so it became a home.
It became a home. We have the abstract that shows each of their names and how long they lived here. And the last one was the Sanders Camera Shop, and that's who we bought the building from.
So some folks, if you're from Edmond, you probably remember
yes,
Sanders.
I remember. It was right here on Route 66.
And how long did it operate as Sanders Camera Shop?
He owned it for over 50 years as the Sanders Camera Shop. And he retired and he left it just sitting here vacant with items in it until we bought it in 2000.
And when did he retire and close up the shop?
He retired about 20 years before that.
So this is the view from Route 66.
Right. They had 3 bedrooms upstairs, and Paul Sanders, which was the son, was the one that sold us the schoolhouse, and he had his bedroom right up here so he could look down Route 66.
And do you think he had any idea this was a schoolhouse?
He did not know it was a schoolhouse. There's nothing here that shows other than just the kind of the way the building is, because this is how he grew up knowing it as this type of a building.
Now there's some pictures back here that look like maybe from the 50s, 60s. Let's go look at those. And this is the camera shop in operation.
Right. This was when he was a child, and you see that there was houses across the street in this picture.
Sure enough.
And this is him and his father, and you see all the cameras. And when we bought the schoolhouse, those shelves that were up there with the cameras in that picture right there were still in here, and he had left cameras and everything. You see all these cameras here. These were, really important cameras.
So this young man is who?
It's Paul Sanders that we bought it from. This is as he grows up. This is as the building looked when his dad had a truck out there. And that is what this looked like when we bought it.
So he retired approximately 1980-ish?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And then the building just sat vacant?
It just sat vacant.
And who decided, hey, I wonder what that building is?
We had a lady that was a historian for Edmond. Her name was Lucille Warwick. And she did a lot of research, and she came to a group of people and said, I think this is the original schoolhouse.
And did they believe her? What was their reaction?
Well, at first we said, well, nobody ever told us that. And then she said, let's go get the abstract. And she was a personal friend of the Sanders. And she took us down there, and we got the abstract. And in the abstract, it was about this thick.
Yeah.
And in the abstract, it says that this was the first schoolhouse in the Oklahoma Territory. So we began taking the old cameras and things like that. We took all of that equipment down to the Oklahoma History Center.
There's a lot of history just in the cameras, the way they developed over the years.
Yes, and occasionally they do display those cameras down there, and it says Sandra's Camera Shop.
Now, you told me a story. You got in here after you cleared it out, and you started peeling away the camera shop to try to discover the schoolhouse. Now, is this the area that you did that?
Yes, this was the
Let's go
area
over
we
there.
did this. And all we found in here was wallpaper. We found a lot of wallpaper on all of these walls, and this was like the area where you sold, and then back there was his kitchen and his private parts. So whenever we took down all the walls, and all these walls were covered with wallpaper, and so we said, okay, it's time to take these down. These windows were completely different by the time they had it. So we took the wallpaper down, and covering all these walls was cheesecloth. And that's a real thin piece of.
Do you think that was to cover up the grooves so the wallpaper would lay flat?
Yeah, I think it was something for the wallpaper to stick to.
Okay.
And so we found five of these chalkboards that had been painted on the wall.
So this is a chalkboard from the original schoolhouse.
From the original school.
Amazing.
Was on there, and it was painted with black paint, and we had the paint analyzed by a company in New York, and it was made with burnt sweet potato and milk.
Oh, my
Painted
word.
on the walls, and you can still see some chalk prints, and you see the teacher would have written on there, and she had lines to write on it, which I think is pretty neat. There were two more across the front.
Okay, I see them.
We had to take down this side here. We had to take down because we were going to take out the windows and make it a solid front, you know.
So when you pulled down that cheesecloth and discovered the blackboard, you knew this was the schoolhouse.
This was. And the first thing I did was call Paul Sanders, and I said, I can prove to you now that it's a schoolhouse. And he drove down here to look, and he said, I never knew that was there.
Isn't that amazing?
And so we had pictures taken, you know, we notified the newspaper and everything. We were thrilled.
So he grew up in a one-room schoolhouse and had no idea.
No idea, because it had been built, you can tell, well, from outside you can see that there's an upstairs. And he had upstairs, there were steps over there that went upstairs. We took all those steps off.
So when you decided, okay, we need to restore this, what were you using to know what was authentic and what was newer?
We just, because all the schoolhouses were built the same size all over the United States, so we just went to one of those, you know, abstracts that were in the history, and we restored the building. And he had moved the building. Had been built originally on this property, but it was built further back. And whenever it became the Sandra's Camera Shop, they had moved it up closer to the front street.
To the highway so folks could see it. So this wood is original wood.
Yes, this is the original wood, and what we did was we invited boys from the UCO college, the different fraternities, to come down here and help take out all the nails and sand all the nails. We also had women from the different churches come down and would sand. And
Now,
get
what
all
about the
this ready.
flooring?
The flooring, we had to take all the flooring up. We had to put new cement pillars underneath the floor to make it safe for children to come in. So this is the original floor.
That is fantastic. Now let's go over to that stove.
Okay.
Now I see now you've got central heat and air, which I bet you appreciate in the summer. Where did this come from?
Okay, one of the farmers had, we said we could tell when the ceiling was here, there was a big hole right here that indicated that that was where the fireplace went. There was the two holes that you see there where the bell tower is.
Okay.
Those were there in there. So we knew what was going on there and what was going on here. So we, again, started checking around with some of the old farmers, and they had one of these stoves. And this was what we assumed the original stove would have looked like. It would. We know that they did not have floors in here for about the first 3 or 4 years, and they would not have had this stove. But
So they were on dirt?
they were on dirt, and they didn't
Amazing.
have desks, of course. Then they just had long benches to sit on.
So I'm looking out at a sea of desks, all different shapes and sizes, but generally the same shape.
Every single desk in this schoolhouse is different. All of these desks were donated to us from the different people here in Edmond. They found them in their barns, or their grandmother had them, for plants to sit on. And when most of these desks arrived, some of them were in very bad shape. So we sent the desks that we needed to have restored to the Edmond High School shop class. And they worked on all of these and brought them back.
So you have students working on desks from
Yes, and
decades
they're working
ago.
on this. And then later on, whenever they brought the desk back and we started putting the school together, the Boy Scouts put feet on all of these. And then we have benches up here. And this is the way a school would have been set up. The children would come up there to read out loud on these benches. And the benches were built by the Santa Fe High School for us.
Now, who is doing the restoration? Stripping this wood, painting the wood, putting in the insulation?
Okay, all of the members came down here and served.
Members of
The trust.
Okay.
We all had jobs, and we contacted church people. The Catholic Church came down and helped us every day we asked them to. And we had a lot of people helping us, and we had an architect to tell us how to build the school back like it was. And so we had started on the outside first, and then we went on ahead with the inside.
Did you have a licensed contractor kind of heading up?
Yes, we had a licensed
What was that man's name?
His name was Gene Lessig, Lesseg. And he had done several other antique homes here in Edmond. He had done the Rodkey House, he'd done the Kevlin House, so he knew how to do that.
So what motivated you to get involved in this?
I was retiring from the company that I had worked for 45 years, and they needed somebody to write grants. And my job had been as a salesperson for a telephone company, and so I knew how to write grants. So they said, could you come and write grants for us? So I would come down here, and then I started writing grants, and we were lucky enough that people want to preserve history, and so when we would write the grants, they would say, okay, you get the grant, but we want you to keep writing them because we want to keep coming to visit. Everybody wants to come and visit.
Let's go over here. You have some plaques on the wall.
Okay. There is an organization that's called the Country Schoolhouse Association of America, and they send people to come and view these schoolhouses and make sure that they're all right for the people to come and see.
Authentic and safe. And
Yes.
Okay.
And anyway, we won an award for the schoolhouse and for our programs that we were having. Because like at Christmas, we have Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts come in and make Christmas ornaments. And we're very close to UCO, so we have the students come down here.
So these schoolhouses were all over America.
Yes.
And so people are now restoring them.
Yes.
And they've created an association.
Yes, and so this is and they do a video and put the video about Edmond School on their website, and then anybody can look at it and see how it's done. And then in return, people come, and we had one lady that was interested in school desks, and she just came from back east somewhere out here and made arrangements, and she wanted to research each one of our.
I was saying, as we looked at them, they're all different. I'm sure they're all from a specific company, a specific era.
And most of those are made with metal, and that metal is the same kind that they use on the railroads, making the railroad tracks and making the railroad,
Have you noticed any historic carvings, any dates or anything that some kid had carved in?
We have those. You can see dates, and there's one desk over here that we always show to really small children. Right here. We say this is the reason we don't let children bring knives in anymore.
1955.
And Tarzan, this stuff. So some of that we didn't restore.
No, you wouldn't want to get rid of that. Look at all those designs.
These were all, these are done really nice.
All right, so that speaks to, you say students are coming here. So today, now it's fully restored, and you open it up to the public. How often during the year?
The first 2 Saturdays of every month we're open from 1 to 4. Okay. And the various schools in Edmond are allowed to bring their children down here when they're studying Oklahoma history.
So it's like a field trip, and they'll spend the day here.
Yes, but the nice thing about it is it's sanctioned by the principals and by the superintendent of schools. And every year, he brings a bus of new teachers down here and says,
Not students, teachers.
teachers, when they're here, and he says, now this is available for you to go to. So they really do like it.
Now, in the summertime, you have a unique program.
We have
Talk about that.
summer camps. And summer camps, the kids come down here and they're making all kinds of crafts. And then at Christmas time, we make Christmas ornaments. And we put up a tree like they used to have, no flashy lights or anything, you know.
Well, hello there. I'm Will Schwab.
Kathy Thomas.
Nice to meet you, Kathy.
Thank you.
And how are you associated with the schoolhouse?
I am on the Edmond Historical Preservation Trust and have been for several years. And I am in charge of our docent program, which we call Friends of the Schoolhouse, which is a very generic name. But we are a rather umbrella organization for the schoolhouse.
Now, why did you get involved in the trust?
I married an Edmond native. Yes, and he was born and raised here. There are not many born and raised Edmond natives anymore here. And I have just always loved the history of Edmond.
Did you love history growing up?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I was raised in Oklahoma City, and I really didn't know that I liked history until I got older, for one thing. But I just always found the history of Edmond, you know, to have come from nothing and look where we are today.
Who do you have next to you here?
This is my Alana.
Hello,
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Will. What's your name?
Alana Radel.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And what is your role here?
I'm the weekend school marm.
Okay.
On the Saturdays that we are open, I will be here in garb and just giving the people who come and visit, including the children, a taste of what it was like. And we even give the children the opportunity to look at the books and the parents and to write on chalkboards.
Now, how does someone your age know what happened in this room in 1889?
Well, she was talking about marrying an Edmondite. I was born and raised here in Edmond. Just like her, I wasn't really interested in history.
And you weren't around in 1889.
I wasn't, but I got interested in history about when I was 18, and then when I graduated high school in 2000, that's when the trust bought it. And my mother had always told me that this is the schoolhouse, this is the schoolhouse.
So she knew, she suspected, I suppose. Not everybody knew that.
Correct. And once they bought it, you know, every time I was at the bank, I'd put in some money to refurbish it. So, and I really didn't join it until about 2008.
And where did you go to learn how to dress, what the students did during the day?
I was, the dress aspect, I actually learned up in Guthrie with the local reenactment group, and that's where I learned a lot of my outfits. And then it's just personal research and lots.
Where do you find things to read, like the Laura Ingalls Wilder books?
That was a big part of it, but also there's lots of information about Edmond itself, the Edmond Historical Society, the Oklahoma Historical Society. Just Google it, and then you have family. My great-grandmother was born in Indian Territory, and got records. I've got violin, I've got organ, pipe organ, pump organ, rocking chair that came across state line.
So you have deep Oklahoma roots.
I am fifth generation deep roots. I am 100% Okie.
Now, what are some of the things you do with the kids when they come in here, or the people that show up on a Saturday? What are some of the things you like to show them?
One of those things is like we welcome them and we find out where they're from. And if they're from out of state, you know, we find out where. And well, this is my home, and I'd like to show you some different
Okay, let's
stuff.
look around.
And if they have kids, we
Feel free to join us.
automatically come to the desks and provide the slates that they can write on, and they'll kind of be going, what are these?
They don't have sheets of paper.
Right, and they did, but the tablets of paper were expensive.
Okay.
And quite often, the kids weren't able to afford that.
And they're writing on this with what? They have chalk back then, or do they have
did
some
have
derivative
chalk.
of that?
And they did have a derivative, and it's called soapstone, and it's a form of lime that it does not have the same dust that normal chalk has. We also provide the McGuffey's readers.
I've heard of McGuffey readers.
I have my daddy's McGuffey's readers.
And this was pretty standard issue schoolhouse.
Yes, and once again, the schoolhouse had the books, but not the children, because the children didn't have the money to
means to
purchase it. So there were a lot of memorizing going on at that point, individual students, lots of group memorization together. Of course, we talk about the games.
Okay.
Of course, we've got the game of graces right here that's got 2 sticks. And
It sounded like you said that with a bit of an accent,
I did. I'm always rolling my
but it didn't sound like an Okie accent.
Oh, I've got some Scottish heritage on
Okay.
both sides of so it's, but
And does this game date back to the old country?
it does. Well, not the old country. Well, I'm not sure where it dates back, but this was one of the games that they used to play, and they also played with the girls used to play with dolls,
Well, certainly.
even up to 16 age.
Well, let's see this game.
Kathy, can you help me?
Okay.
Have you played this game before, Kathy? Well, we look forward to seeing you.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
Okay, I think I know the premise of it.
I think you know the
Yeah,
premise.
I think so.
All right, you ready?
Okay.
So it's kind of a game of catch with a ring and sticks. Look at her. Hey, she's pretty good.
And of course, the kids will get very into it.
How will they get into it?
Oh, they just toss it, and it's like, and there it goes.
So those kids, you prefer they play it outdoors.
Yes.
And what was this called again?
Game of Graces.
Graces.
Yes. And of course, when the kids get behind it, I don't know where the grace comes in.
There's
But
no
it's-
grace involved.
It's not. But it's a fun one.
So Beverly, tell me about this beautiful mural.
The mural was designed for us from art pictures that we had, and it was painted by the students of UCO and Dr. Palmer. And this shows the train coming in. This would have been the train station.
Now,
where they
these
put-
tracks in this station, where is that, or where was that in Edmond? Just
It
to the
was-
west of here?
west of here. The sign that says Edmond, Indian Territory, 1889, that sign has been up by where they put the railroad tracks for a long time. So we make copies of that sign.
Now let's head down here. I see a group of ladies posing.
First of all, you'll see this right here. There was no water downtown in Edmond, so they had a water deal that was pulled by
wagon.
horses, a water wagon, and the first well was over where the Jiffy Lube is next door, and they would fill that and take it downtown and put it for the troughs for the horses. And once we started planting trees, there was a deal that if you planted trees in this dry place, that they had to have water, and they would, Mr. Klassen, that was the head of that, took the water wagon and they planted 4,000 trees in Edmond at the very second year, and he had to water them all, and so the people from Edmond all pulled this around and watered all of the trees.
Yeah, you say that. I don't know if anybody thinks about that.
Yeah.
We love all the trees here,
Yeah,
but Oklahoma is awfully dry.
yeah,
I can't imagine watering trees with a water wagon.
yeah.
Back in, they were that important that it was worth that effort.
It was worth that effort. They
That
did it,
is
did it,
beautiful.
Did it. And
All
then-
right, so these ladies.
These are the ladies that were the women that was the Edmond Women's Club,
Okay.
and one of them, this one right here, is named Jenny Forrester, and she was one of the first women that came to Edmond with her husband. Her husband ran a grocery store, and she said, we need a schoolhouse. So she started, and she said, I will start a library. So she arranged, told the people in Edmond, if you will give me 100 books, I'll have a library. So she had a library she kept in her husband's grocery store. They raised $35, and they took
$35.
$35, and they went down to Long Bell Lumber Company and said, we need wood to build this school. And then they invited all the people in town, and they came down here and they built this schoolhouse. And the walls on the inside were the same wood that was from then.
Because she decided that we needed to
needed a
educate the
school,
kids,
yeah.
and we needed a school.
And the students never had to pay to come to this schoolhouse. they always raise money year after year too.
So not only was the building started by civic-minded
Yes,
people, it was rediscovered by Lucille, civic-minded, and now being restored and preserved by a bunch of more
Yeah,
folks. So you're standing on her shoulders.
Yeah.
So this is really a testament to the people of Edmond
Yes, absolutely.
from the beginning to today.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I sure enjoyed my visit to the Territorial Schoolhouse, and I hope you did too. And there's so much more to learn and experience here. It's a wonderful opportunity to step back into history to a simpler time. And we're all indebted to the many folks that volunteered so much of their time rediscovering this historic structure, restoring it, and now making it available for generations to come. For more information, visit their website and plan a visit for you and your family. You'll be glad you did. You know, it's wonderful people like Beverly and Kathy and Elena, and wonderful places like this historic schoolhouse come together and make Oklahoma grand. Oklahoma Grand is a proud partner with TEAM, an interfaith nonprofit organization determined to break cycles of incarceration in Oklahoma. Visit team.org. Oklahoma Baptist University, offering a fully online MBA in Project and Energy Management, International Business, and Leadership. Visit okbu.edu/graduate.
And Producers Playhouse. Creative visual communications for Oklahoma since 1997.
For more in-depth interviews and additional footage from today's show, visit our Facebook page or oklahomagrand.tv.